The air tasted like smoke and hot metal. Leo Cruz moved through the broken hallway. His boots crunched on pieces of the alien hive. The walls were not made of steel, but of a hard, shell-like material. It was cracked and bleeding green fluid. His heart beat hard in his chest. He could hear his squad over the radio. Their voices were sharp with panic and pain. Then, one by one, the voices cut off into static. He was alone. The mission was wrong. The intelligence was a lie. They had walked into a trap. The Cathar were waiting for them. Now his friends were dead. He pushed forward. His rifle felt heavy in his hands. He had to get to the extraction point. That was the only thought left. Get out. Then he heard it. A new sound. Not a weapon, not a scream. It was a high, clicking cry. It sounded scared. He turned a corner. The room ahead was half destroyed. A heavy beam had fallen from the ceiling. Under the beam was a small shape. It was a Cathar youngling. It was much smaller than the warriors. Its shiny shell was cracked on one side. It had too many dark eyes, all wide with fear. It was trapped, its legs pinned. It looked at him and made the sad clicking sound again. This was the enemy. He had seen these creatures kill his friends. His finger rested on the trigger of his rifle. It would be easy. One shot. But it was just a kid. A scared kid. A deep roar echoed from the hallway behind him. The floor shook. Leo turned. A Cathar royal guard filled the doorway. It was huge, a monster of sharp edges and thick armor. Its claws were as long as his arms. It saw the youngling. It saw Leo. The guard charged. Its only goal was to kill the human near its young. Leo did not aim at the guard. His rifle would not scratch its armor. He looked up. He saw where the beam had fallen from. The ceiling was weak there. He fired 3 quick shots into the ceiling above the guard. The roof came down in a roar of dust and broken shell. Chunks of the hive crashed onto the royal guard, burying it under a pile of rubble. It was trapped, not dead. Leo did not think any more. He ran to the youngling. He shoved his rifle onto his back and grabbed the heavy beam. He strained, his muscles burning. With a loud groan, he lifted it just enough. The youngling scrambled free. It did not run away. It looked at the buried guard, then back at Leo. It made a soft, confused click. Then it moved quickly, hiding behind Leo's leg armor, clinging to him. Outside, the sound of human ships grew loud. The extraction was here. A shadow passed over the hole in the ceiling. A shuttle was coming down. Leo looked back at the pile of rubble. The royal guard was moving. It was digging itself out. One of its arms broke free. It did not reach for a weapon. It looked at Leo, then at the youngling clinging to him. The guard went still. It made a series of complex, soft clicks. Then, slowly, it bowed its head. The shuttle landed. The ramp lowered. Leo turned to run to it, the youngling still holding onto his leg. He looked back one last time. More Cathar warriors had arrived. They stood in the broken hallways. They saw the youngling with the human. They saw their royal guard bowing, and one by one, they all bowed their heads. The shuttle bay of the ISS Resolute was cold and loud. Red lights flashed. Leo stood in the center of the landing zone, the alien youngling still clutching his leg. Marines in full combat armor surrounded him, their rifles raised. The air smelled of fuel and fear. "Stand down, Cruz," a voice boomed from a speaker. It was Major Evans. He stood on a high walkway, his face hard. "Step away from the creature. Now." Leo did not move. "Sir, it's just a child. It's not a threat." "Everything they are is a threat," Evans replied. His voice was like ice. "You are contaminated, both of you." 2 medics in bulky hazard suits approached. They carried a sealed container. They moved toward the youngling. The small alien let out a sharp, terrified click and pressed harder against Leo's leg. "Don't," Leo said, his voice low. He shifted his body, shielding the child. The Marines tightened their circle. Rifles clicked. ready to fire. "This is your last order, Sergeant," Evans said. "Step aside." Suddenly, the youngling looked up at Leo. Its many eyes were wide. It made a soft, questioning sound. In that moment, it was not a monster. It was just a scared kid, and he was the only thing it knew. Leo made his choice. He slowly knelt, putting himself between the Marines and the child. He looked up at Evans. "I can't do that, sir." The bay fell silent except for the hum of the ship. Evans' expression did not change, but his eyes were furious. He gave a sharp nod. The Marines moved in. They did not shoot. Two of them grabbed Leo by the arms, pulling him to his feet. He did not fight them. He kept his eyes on the youngling. The hazmat medics quickly scooped the child into the container. It thrashed and clicked, a desperate, panicked sound. The lid sealed shut with a hiss, silencing the noise. Leo was dragged from the bay. He was taken to a bright white room. It was a decontamination cell. The door locked behind him with a heavy sound. He was alone. A large glass window looked into the room. On the other side was Major Evans. He held a data pad. "You have no idea what you've done," Evans said, his voice flat. "The Cathar fleet has stopped. All of them. They have gone silent across 3 sectors. This is not a victory. It is a mystery, and mysteries in war get people killed." Leo said nothing. He just stared back. "Our Xeno-Weapons Division needs to understand this," Evans continued. "They need to study that creature. They need to find a weakness. Its biological data could end this war." "You mean dissect it?" Leo said. "I mean, do what is necessary to protect humanity," Evans snapped. "You will hand it over. That is a direct order." "You can't," Leo said. His voice was quiet but firm. "It's a child. It's our only link to why they stopped. It's a person." Evans' face turned red. "It is not a person. It is a weapon. And you are a soldier who has forgotten his duty." He leaned close to the glass. "You are confined to quarters. When you are ready to follow orders, you will tell the guard." Evans turned and walked away. The lights in Leo's cell dimmed. He sat on the hard bench, his head in his hands. He had saved a life, and now he was a prisoner. He had protected a child, and now it was going to be cut apart. Hours passed. The ship was quiet. Leo lay on the bench, staring at the ceiling. He thought about the youngling's scared eyes. Then a low hum started. It was a sound that did not belong on the human ship. It was a deep, vibrating noise that made the floor tremble. An alarm blared. Red lights flashed again. Leo sat up. He looked through the glass of his cell. Out in the corridor, the air began to shimmer. It looked like heat rising from asphalt. Then a ship materialized. It was not a human ship. It was made of dark, organic-looking material. It was a Cathar scout ship, and it was now inside the Resolute. The ship's hatch opened. A single Royal Guard stepped out. It was the same one from the hive. It ignored the Marines aiming their weapons. It walked straight to Leo's cell. The guard stopped before the thick glass. It looked at Leo. A device on its chest glowed. A rough electronic voice spoke. "The progenitor. She comes for you, for the scion." The guard raised a claw and pointed at Leo. "You are claimed." The Royal Guard did not break the glass. It placed a claw against the surface. The material turned black, then dissolved into dust. The alarm screamed louder. Leo could hear shouts and running footsteps. The guard reached through the hole. It did not grab him. It simply pointed back toward its ship. The meaning was clear. Leo had a choice. He could stay and be a prisoner. The youngling would be taken apart, or he could go with the enemy. He stepped through the hole. The air in the corridor was thick with the smell of the alien ship. It smelled like spice and iron. He followed the guard into the scout ship. The hatch sealed behind them. The world outside vanished. The trip was fast. There was no sense of movement. One moment they were inside the human ship. The next, they were floating in space before something immense. It was a Cathar world ship. It was not built, it was grown. It looked like a giant dark shell, covered in spines and glowing lights. It was bigger than a city. It made the Resolute look like a toy. The scout ship flew into a large opening. They landed in a vast chamber. The air was warm and humid. The walls pulsed with a soft green light. They felt alive. The guard led him out. They walked through twisting corridors. Other Cathar moved around them. They were all different sizes and shapes. They looked at him, but none of them attacked. They entered a huge room. In the center was a raised platform. On the platform was the Queen. She was tall and powerful. Her body was like polished stone. She had sharp, elegant features. She was not a monster. She was something else, something ancient and strong. She looked at him, and he felt a pressure in his mind. The youngling, the scion, was curled at her feet. It saw Leo and clicked happily. It scurried over and wrapped its small limbs around his leg. The same feeling of trust washed over him. It was simple and pure. The Queen's voice was in his head. It was not a sound. It was a thought, clear and direct. You saved my child, my heir, the last of my bloodline. Leo could only think his answer. It was a child. It was scared. You showed strength. You showed mercy. These are rare things. Her mental voice was calm, but it had great weight. Our law is old. It is absolute. The one who saves the scion, if they are strong, must join the hive. They must stand with the Queen. Leo did not understand. Join? You are offered the bond. You would be my mate, a ruler of this hive. Your strength becomes our strength. The word hit him like a physical blow. Mate? It was impossible. It was insane. He was a human soldier. She was an alien queen. To refuse is to declare yourself our enemy, her thought continued. The scion would be vulnerable. My rule would be challenged. There would be war within the hive. Many would die. He looked down at the youngling clinging to his leg. He thought of the human fleet. He thought of Major Evans. He had no home there anymore. He was a traitor. But here, this child trusted him. This powerful being was offering him a place. A terrible, unbelievable place. He felt the Queen waiting. He felt the hope from the youngling. He felt the weight of the entire hive watching him. He looked at the Queen. He spoke the word out loud, his voice firm in the silent chamber. Okay. The moment he said it, the world changed. The green light in the room flashed bright. The pressure in his mind exploded into 1,000 voices. He could feel them all, the warriors, the workers, the Queen. He could feel the youngling's joy. It was an ocean of thought, and he was now a part of it. He was in the hive mind. Leo woke up. He was in a room with soft, glowing walls. He could feel the hive mind. It was a quiet hum in the back of his head. He could feel the Queen's presence, strong and steady. He could feel the scion, a little spark of energy nearby. He was not alone in his own mind anymore. A royal guard entered. It was the same one from before. It bowed its head. In his mind, Leo understood its name. It was Cathar, a sound of respect and sharpness. Cathar was his protector now. The Queen explained the situation to him without words. Images flowed into his mind. He saw a rival faction of Cathar. They were the ones who started the war with humanity. They had lied to the hive. They said humans were mindless beasts. They wanted to kill the Queen and take her throne. They saw her alliance with a human as a great crime. Leo saw their fleet. It was massive. It was coming for them. He stood up. He was no longer a prisoner. He was a prince. He had a job to do. He walked onto the command bridge of the world ship. It was not a bridge with screens and chairs. It was a wide platform overlooking a vast organic viewport. The Cathar commanders stood around a pool of light that showed the stars. They looked at him. Their thoughts were a mix of curiosity and doubt. The rival fleet was approaching a Cathar shipyard. They planned to take it for themselves. The Hive's commanders prepared to send their whole force, a direct attack. Leo felt the plan form in their minds. It was simple: brute force. He saw the problem immediately. It was what the enemy expected. It was what he would have expected before. "No," Leo said aloud. All the commanders turned to look at him. The Queen watched from her throne. He stepped into the pool of light. He pointed. "We do not meet them head-on. That is what they want. We split our force." He explained. He used small models of light. A small group of fast ships would attack the shipyard from the side. They would be a distraction. The main force would not go to the shipyard at all. They would wait behind a nearby moon. When the enemy moved to crush the small group, the main force would hit them from behind. It was an ambush, a basic human tactic. The Cathar commanders were silent. Their thoughts were doubtful. This was not their way. The Queen sent a single thought: "Do it." The battle was fast and brutal. Leo watched from the bridge. The enemy took the bait. They turned their big ships to destroy the small attacking force. Then the main Hive fleet surged out from behind the moon. They struck the enemy's weak side. The rival fleet was caught in a crossfire. They were torn apart. The bridge was silent. Then one of the Cathar commanders turned to Leo. It bowed its head. The doubt in the air was gone. It was replaced by a new feeling: respect. At that moment, a new presence entered the star system. Alarms flashed through the Hive mind. Leo felt a cold, familiar feeling. On the main viewport, human warships dropped out of light speed. The ISS Resolute was at the front. The entire human fleet was here. A communication request came through. Major Evans appeared in the pool of light. His face was hard. "Cruz, you have one chance. Surrender yourself and the alien Queen. Order her forces to stand down, or we will open fire." Leo stood straight. "Major, listen to me. The war is a lie. I have the data. There is a bigger enemy. You have to stand down." Evans' eyes were filled with disgust. "You are not Leo Cruz. You are a thing they built. A puppet." Leo saw the gun ports on the human ships begin to glow. They were powering up. He made a decision. He turned to Cathar. "Get me a shuttle, a small one, no weapons." He looked at the Queen. She understood. He would go to them. He would make them see. He flew the small shuttle out of the world ship. He flew directly toward the Resolute. He opened a channel to every human ship. "I am Leo Cruz. I am sending you the truth. Please, just look at it." He saw Evans on the screen. The Major's face did not change. "You are a traitor," Evans said. His voice was flat. "Open fire." The forward guns of the Resolute glowed white. Then they flashed. The guns of the Resolute fired. A blast of pure energy shot toward Leo's small shuttle. For a second, the screen on the human bridge was pure white. Then the light faded. The shuttle was gone, vaporized. Major Evans let out a slow breath. A strange quiet fell over the bridge. They had done it. They had killed the traitor. Then a new voice filled the comms. It was not human. It was the Queen's voice, translated by a computer. It was full of cold, terrible anger. "You have slain my mate," the voice said. "You have orphaned my scion. You are blind." As she spoke, her world ship moved. It did not attack. It glided forward and placed itself directly between the human fleet and the spot where the shuttle had been. It was a silent, massive shield. Its own weapons remained dark. Evans stared. "What is it doing?" Then the sensors screamed. New contacts appeared, dozens of them. They came from the shadow of a nearby gas giant. A third fleet emerged. These ships were different from the Queen's. They were jagged and angry-looking. They flew in a disordered, aggressive swarm. It was the rival Cathar faction. They had been waiting. They saw the humans and the Queen's hive facing off. It was the perfect moment to destroy them both. The rogue fleet opened fire. Red energy beams tore into the side of the human formation. At the same time, they launched a wave of fighters toward the Queen's world ship. Chaos erupted. The human fleet scrambled to turn and face the new threat. The Queen's ships moved to defend their home. For a moment, it was a messy, three-way battle. They were all out of position. They were all going to lose. On the bridge of the Queen's world ship, a figure stepped out of a stealth pod that had docked moments before. It was Leo. The shuttle had been a drone, a remote-controlled copy. He had never been on it. He walked to the command platform. His face was calm. He looked at the battle unfolding in the viewport. He saw the human ships taking heavy fire. He saw the rogue Cathar breaking through the Queen's lines. He reached out with his mind. He connected to the Queen. He connected to the human comms. "This is Leo Cruz," he said, his voice clear over the human channel. "Major Evans, hold your position on the left flank. Queen, pull your fighters back now." Evans' shocked voice came back. "Cruz, you're alive." "There's no time," Leo said. "Do it." He began to give orders. He used human tactics and Cathar strength together. He had the human ships use their electronic warfare systems. They sent out powerful jamming signals. The rogue Cathar ships were suddenly blind. Their sensors showed nothing but static. As they drifted in confusion, the Queen's fleet, following Leo's precise commands, struck. They hit the enemy's command ships first. Without leadership, the rogue fleet fell apart. It was a quick, brutal end. The battle was over. Silence returned to space. The human fleet and the Queen's fleet floated near each other. The wreckage of the rogue faction drifted between them. A communication request came from the Resolute. Major Evans appeared on the viewport. He looked tired. The arrogance was gone from his face. He looked at Leo, who stood beside the Queen. The Scion was holding Leo's hand. Evans did not speak for a long moment. He just looked. He saw a human soldier standing as an equal with an alien queen. He saw the truth. Leo spoke first. His voice was not the voice of a sergeant. It was the voice of a leader. "The war is over," Leo said. "Now we talk."